Hello everyone. This is part 5 of Sarah Crossan's Moonrise. So the last section, and let me just get our slides up. Okay. Philip Miller. A fat guy in a tight t-shirt smiles from behind an office window. Who's that? I ask, as the guard retrieves my belongings from the locker. She glances over her shoulder. That's Philip Miller, the warden. Mr. Philip Miller, father to a whole farm of lowlives, responsible for keeping them chained down, locked up, sealed in, so the rest of the state can sleep easy. And he stands there grinning, the jackass. That's who. My face is in my phone, distracting myself with Mets news, their win against Toronto. But Ed is always there, in the corner of my mind, fidgeting. What does he do to pass the time? How can he stand it? If that were me on the row, I'd lie awake listening to killers snore, imagining my walk to the death chamber, the length of the gurney, the smell and feel of the leather straps, the last faces I'd see, the team doing the dirty work and the guests in the gallery. What sort of asshole buys scratch cards instead of a soda for his dying brother? Me, that's who. Night run. I pull on my shorts and sprint full pelt out of the building and along Main Street, past the gas station, motels, pizza and fried chicken places, until I reach the diner. I couldn't run 5,000 metres at this speed, but I'm not training. Performance. I even forgot to wear my watch. I slow and peek through a side window to see if Nell's at work. She's not. She's probably at home watching TV or eating ice cream. Something normal, I guess, which is how I'd like my life to turn out eventually. Tailgating. I slow my pace on my run home when I come across a huddle of cars belting out music in the high school parking lot. Kids, kegs, buckets of chips. I walk and watch. A guy in a Houston Texans jersey, and all the size, though down in booze is a superpower. He stumbles, trips, totally wasted. I pass through the gates and drift around till I spot two girls by the trunk of a car, pouring vodka into a bowl. Hey, I say. The redhead looks up, eyes bloodshot. Hey, she replies. Her friend, a curly blonde, whoops and wraps her arms round my neck. She smells of aniseed. You came, the blonde shouts as though expecting me. You're Lucy's cousin, right, from Jacksonville? She dips a red cup into the bowl and offers it to me. It's sweet and toxic. I'm Peter, I say, so I don't have to answer her question. They both do some sort of wormy dance, hands twirling, asses wriggling. Behind them, the trunk is a phone, a wallet. Lucy told us you were cool, the redhead says. Where is Lucy anyway? She stands on tiptoe. I take her hand, twist her around so I've my back to the trunk and she's looking at me, not for Lucy. The blonde pours more sauce into my cup. I knock it back in 2 seconds flat. Oh, you're a bad boy, she whispers, lips brushing my ears. I'm not interested in being a bad boy, bit of rust, a new guy who's primed for picking because she thinks sex is the most terrible thing she could ever do to her lousy parents. I wrap an arm around her waist, put my other hand behind me, find the wallet and slip it into the band of my shorts. I thought it would be easy, but I didn't think it would be this easy. I'm about to give the girls some story about locating Lucy when someone taps my shoulder. I turn. It's Nell. Want to take off? She asks. Yes, please, I say, and follow her out of the parking lot along the dusty, dark road like a lost dog. Just no. Nell leads me along the side entrance to her yard. She drops down into the deep end of a dry-bottomed swimming pool and waves for me to follow. This is my dad's place. Mum lives in Dover, next town over. She pulls a crushed joint from her pocket, lights one end, inhales like her life depends on it. Night insects whinny to one another. A car revs its engine, sounds its horn. A dog is barking in the neighbour's yard. So your thing is stealing stuff then, she asks, unimpressed. I yank the wallet out of my shorts. I'll give the stuff back, I say. I was just looking for cash. Apart from some store loyalty cards and a couple of photographs, there's only $10 in it. I should have stolen her iPhone, I say. Nell snorts. In Wakeley, you'd never sell it. You'd get as far as talking about a stolen phone and be down at the station. She grabs the wallet. I'll post it through Tanya's mailbox tomorrow, say I found it. So you approve of theft? I don't care what you do, Joe. Are those girls your friends? Friends? No. They'll be driving rugrats around in minivans before they're 20 years old. You don't like minivans? She passes me the joint. I inhale, hold it in my lungs, let it run through my blood until the tiles of the swimming pool soften against my back. No to minivans, little league and baking. No to all of that. I'm not going to be a statistic. I'm getting out of this hellhole alive, and I'll fight anyone who tries to stop me. I want more. You can't say that too loudly round here, because who the hell do you think you are, right? I exhale. I understand. She climbs the metal ladder at the side of the swimming pool and stands above me, a silhouette. I've got to go in, and you better leave before my dad gets home. Can I see you again? I say aloud, but under my breath mumble Nell's words. Who the hell do you think you are? Superhero. Ed told me that when I got older, I could be anything I wanted. Can I be Spider-Man? I asked. Why not? He said. And can I leave Arlington? He hesitated just a second, long enough for me to know something was up. Before the sun rises, I wake at 4:30 and spend too long calculating the number of days left until Ed's execution. It's July 9th, which gives us over a month until August 18th. Not that Ed will see any of his execution day. He's scheduled to die a minute past midnight. Ed will be cold before the sun rises. I peel myself out of bed and go for another run. I want to improve my split. Countdown to Christmas. As soon as Thanksgiving was done, I wanted it to be Christmas, daydreamed all about the toys Santa Claus would place beneath the tree. He won't come if you're naughty, Mum said, scraping soggy cornflakes into the trash can. Ed elbowed me, bit into a slice of burnt toast. Of course he'll come, Joe. You best write a letter so you don't get a potato peeler. We wrote the letter together and mailed it early, asking for stuff I knew Mum couldn't afford, that Santa's elves would make in the workshop: a Star Wars Lego set, a superhero costume, a set of paints, glitter and bright white paper. Could they sew together new sneakers? While heavy snow fell and the Hudson almost froze, I counted off the days until Christmas, and I never realised that the reason Ed and Angela were so busy shoveling sidewalks was to make sure I didn't cry with disappointment on Christmas morning and believe that Santa thought I had been bad. Breakfast bagel. Now tosses me a plastic wrapped bagel. Sue made it, cream cheese and tomato, and it's soup for lunch again if you'll be here. Thanks. A dribble of sweat runs down my back. Hey, do you want to hang out later? We could get beers, sit in the back of the junker. Nell rubs the end of her nose. I don't think so, she says, without an explanation. She returns to the diner. I watch her go. As she searched Ed's name online, Google would tell her everything she wanted to know about him, about me, our whole family. I bite into the bagel, tipped off Sue didn't send out a drink to go with my breakfast. Father Matthew. At the Section A entryway, an old guy with soft eyes approaches nervously. Despite the heat, he's wearing a woolen sweater. His beard has dandruff. I'm Father Matthew, Ed's spiritual advisor. He holds out a hand and I shake it. And you're his brother Joseph? Uh-huh, I mutter. I'm sorry you're going through this. He waves at the prison walls. A grey-haired guard looks up from her gossip magazine. I'm available for you too, and anyone else in the family, the priest continues. Look, Father, sometimes it's helpful to talk, he says quickly. I sniff. Does he think I haven't talked about this already? It's all Angela wants to discuss: Ed's crime case, how long he has left, playing on a loop in her head. I'm here if you change your mind, he says. Try to trust in God, son. Rage pushes through me, and I point my finger right between his eyes. You know what, Father? God didn't put Ed in here. Men did that. And it's men keeping him here. So go blow your God crap at someone else, because I'm not buying it. The priest doesn't flinch. Joseph, he begins. My name's Joe, I say, and you know nothing about me at all. Public relations. When the news broke in New York that Ed was a suspected murderer, kids in my class were warned by their petrified parents to keep away from me. The bad boy, sad boy. God only knows what goes on behind that door, boy. Ed came from our house, a place they suddenly assumed was cooking up evil like chicken soup. It's not like they were the gospel spreading types. Half the neighbourhood were up to no good, ducking taxes and stealing cable. But Ed's crime put us in another league, and that's where Aunt Karen stepped in. She spat on us and shined us up to look like a decent family, stood in for Mom and Dad, fed us and petted us, tried to turn things around. And for this, I guess I should be grateful. But Karen never asked how happy we were or what we wanted. It was all about how things looked from the outside. What other people thought was all that was important, and how we felt about ourselves was irrelevant. Our desires didn't matter. Karen stole Ed from us, and we'll never get those years back. The wall. Ed's knuckles are bruised and plummy purple. He rubs them and laughs. You think this is something in here, Joe? This is nothing. Why'd you fight? I want to hear how he defended himself against the toughest guys, lunatics locked up for burying people alive, monsters who are nothing like him. They wouldn't let me shower, he says. I missed my slot, so now I stink. Who'd you hit? He looks ashamed. Is it Father Matthew, a guard? I punched a wall, he says, and I know this looks painful, but you should see the wall. He winks, and the rest of the visit goes great. A joke. Al Mitchell meets me by the prison gates and shakes my hand like I'm a man. Good to meet you, Joe. Let's take a walk, he says. We don't go far before he stops and kicks a stone with the toe of his leather loafer. I was in Houston today. The state denied our appeal. I'm sorry. The cop's wife wants the sentence commuted to life, but she's not the one prosecuting Ed. The state's doing that. Anyway, the judge wasn't interested in her letter. Listen with one ear, you know. The Supreme Court will be more impartial. If we can get the federal court to hear us, we have a real chance of winning. This isn't over. What can I do? He rests a hot hand on my arm. Keep your fingers crossed. Is that it? Is this all down to luck? The judge Ed gets the jury. Justice is a joke, I say. Al nods. Look, Joe, this process will change you. I've seen it plenty of times. I've felt it myself in my heart. What's happening is hell, and as long as you survive, you've done well. He squeezes my arm, and I don't pull away. Don't play the tough guy to fend him off. Instead, I ask, what are his chances? Al's cell phone rings. Without glancing at it, he picks it off, shuts out whoever needs him. It's a little thing, ignoring that call, but it means a lot. We still have options, he says vaguely, and turning us round, heads back to death row so he can break the bad news to my brother. My life now. I run to Nell's place quickly. My split's around 10 seconds quicker than usual. I want to hang out with her, chill in her backyard and guzzle beer. Or we could sip water, whatever, anything. But there's a blue truck in the driveway, the same truck that picked her up from the gas station. So I return to the apartment, put a frozen pizza in the oven, and set an alarm to beep after 12 minutes. Angela calls and we talk about the weather, compare New York summers to Texan ones. This is my life now. The prosecutor. The morning news features Ed's story again, his mean mugshot, his handsome victim, the state attorney outside the courthouse yesterday, looking so pleased with himself he'd think he'd won first prize in a meat raffle. The state attorney puffs up his chest, presses his mouth to the microphones. We are delighted that Judge Byron did not reverse the decision made by the original trial judge and jury, nor saw any valid reason for a retrial. Camera flash. Questions are asked. and the prosecutor beams, trying to elaborate and spout hate against Ed. I turn the TV off. I hate his face. The cost. It costs around $4 million to go through with an execution. That's 8 times more money than to imprison someone for life. Not that anyone gives a damn. Killing is worth every cent. Where it ends. Ed talks like a high-speed train. I've seen over 100 guys in this place go to the chamber, and every one thought he'd get off in the end. He scratches his head. And you know what's really screwed up? When those guys said goodbye, they didn't do it properly, because they thought that a last minute, before midnight, the governor would ring a ding-ding and say they'd made a massive mistake. But this isn't the movies. No one's walking out the front door in a suit. When folks here say you're for the gurney, they aren't messing around. The only way out here is in a box. He laughs bitterly. I don't know this, Ed. So far, I've only seen the one who believes it'll be okay. This is where it ends, Joe, he whispers. I'm telling you the truth. My version. He leans on a row of railings, chews on gum, and pretty confidently squints away the sun. He's older than me, but not by much. Joe, he wants to know. He's too friendly. Have we met? He picks up a canvas satchel, throws it across his body, runs and stumbles to get to me before I'm through the prison gates. His shirt sleeves are rolled up, shoes scuffed. How did Ed cope with losing his appeal? He asks. He lets his head fall to one side in sympathy, and I know then who he is and what he wants. Even Karen's takeover at home all those years ago couldn't keep the news hounds from the door. I'm not talking to the press, I hiss. He holds up his hands. Dude, I just want to know how Ed's holding up. Maybe you guys want your story told, your version of things. My story? This isn't a story, you asshole. This is my life. Make my expression mean. You interested in knowing more about me? You want to see the kind of guy I can be? He comes closer so we're chin to chin. You know what, dude? That would also make an excellent story. He laughs, taunting me, steps back, and with his phone snaps a photo. What's going on? A guard calls out, inspecting us from Section A, a hand on his holster. My anger bubbles, but it won't do Ed any good getting into a fight. My brother's innocent, I snarl. Write that in your stupid paper. Innocent. Is Ed innocent? I mean, I've never actually asked him outright. Okay, we're going to stop there because it's almost 20 minutes. And obviously it's the end of our reading week and our book at bedtime series. However, I'm on page 158, and in the book there are about, 382 pages. So you have some options. You could go and take the book out of the LRC. This is a copy, so I can get it back next week, and there are more in there. You can find it in your local library, or you can go to a bookshop or a bookshop online and buy it. Or if you feel like you are enjoying this series and you'd like it to continue, I am more than happy to keep reading it in short segments, and I reckon we've got another week or so to get the second half read. And I recommend finishing the book because it's a good story. And as you can tell from that last bit I read, Joe is now starting to really want to figure out what went on with the murder all those years ago. So if you are interested in carrying it on, send me an email, scompi@dhfs.uk, and I'll see if any of you are requesting it, and then I'll just do extra segments. But like I say, if you want to just grab the book and read it, LRC or a library or a bookshop. Last thing for me, I've got some recommendations. If you like this whole poetry style approach that Sarah Crossan has used for Moonrise, then there's 2 books on this recommendations page that use the same approach. So the one on the left there, Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, absolutely brilliant narrative about a young lad living in living with a situation where his brother died in the opening of the story, and we kind of figure out that he's going to go for revenge. It really deals with a lot of very interesting kind of issues in terms of crime, gun crime, knife crime. And you know, this young lad is growing up in an area where he's got quite a lot of challenges. Just absolutely fantastic read. And the one at the other side of the screen there is The Poet X. Again, incredible narrative written by Elizabeth Acevedo, and it's told from the point of view of a teenage girl. And it really, I think, captures that whole teenage girl phase and how it feels to kind of be in the young adult phase, becoming a woman, etc. In between those two on the board, you've got a few other books that I've read in recent years and really enjoyed. One of us is Lying, Karen McManus, a really good story. And there's a sequel, possibly even 2 sequels to that one. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is a British writer, Holly Jackson, and really recognisable world. So I really enjoyed that one. The Catcher in the Rye is a classic by J.D. Salinger. A little bit more challenging, but definitely worth the effort. Again, a really engaging story about a young man who stays away at school and just has an interesting time of it. And then that one there, Angie Thomas, The Hate You Give, has recently been made into a film, I think. And there's a sequel to that book, but it's a really incredible story about a young girl whose friend gets shot by a police officer. So lots of recommendations there. And like I say, if you're really enjoying Moonrise and you want me to carry on, send me an email. If I get some, I'll carry on. If I don't, I won't. But the option is there. Or just go and grab the book and finish it on your own, because it's a really great story. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in, as you have done all week, and chat to me about it when you see me around school, or send me an email. Okay.